Hi, welcome back. This is Guitar Level 2, or Advanced Guitar, and we're going to have to review some basics, just to make sure that we all have our feet underneath us before we start sprinting. So, the first thing is form. Now, you may have an acoustic guitar like this one. You may also have an electric guitar, or a classical style guitar. If you have a baritone, or a bass, or a ukulele, or a mandolin, these things are a little bit trickier to adapt and to transpose for this standard acoustic guitar instrument. So make sure you have one of these, or you can do this, you can do electric guitar, or you can do a classical style. So let's review the form and the structure of the guitar. This is the body, and the body, this little cutaway on the bottom of the body, is going to rest on your right thigh. Now, I spend a lot of time crossing my legs and playing, so this is how I normally sit with the guitar. So my thigh is a little more raised than usual. And my right arm, and some people make this mistake their entire career in guitar, but my right arm will actually rest on the top, not behind, but on top, and certainly not too far forward like this, but on top. And the bicep muscle is actually squeezing the rim, the edge of this top piece of wood. Okay? And so when it's nice and tidy and snug, it's going to sit on the thigh against your chest, and it won't move when you're just sitting there. So if I'm just sitting here, my guitar doesn't take a dolphin dive. Okay, remember, this is called the headstock. These are the tuning pegs. This long part here is the neck, the top of which is referred to as the fretboard. This over here is the sound hole. The neck obviously meets the body here. This is the bridge, and these are all the different little pegs that hold your strings inside the guitar, okay? So that's a standard review of the structure of the guitar. Now, when we're talking about the strings, we have 6, and they all have different names. So remember, E, A, D, G, B, E. Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie, if you have trouble remembering. So again, E, A, D, G, B, and E. Okay, so those are the string names. Make sure that you have them in tune. So if you don't know already, there is this app. Some of you may be joining for the first time, others have already studied guitar, and so you have an idea of what the string names are and how to tune your guitar. If you don't know how to tune your guitar, download the app called Guitar Tuna. It looks like that when you're finished and you're using it. So just look up Guitar Tuna, just like the fish. So guitar, then tuna. Download that, go to this page. It has this tuning page. When you strike your notes, it's going to spit out automatically what it thinks the note is, what it thinks that it hears, your smartphone, and then you're just going to have to turn these tightening knobs, either clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on how you strum your guitar, until it matches, until the green pin on that app is on the red line. Okay, so that tells you that you're in tune. And you'll do this for every single note. E, A, D, G, B, E. Good. So I'm in tune. Make sure you're in tune. And lastly, I just want to talk about the left and the right hand philosophies. So the left hand thumb, you're going to use the knuckle part of the thumb against the middle of the neck. That's going to give you good force. So it's going to give you good force when your thumb is there, as opposed to on top, like this. So you want your thumb as low as you can get it without it sliding off the bottom. So middle of the neck is good, so that your fingers have enough clearance to move around. Your right hand is going to be relaxed the entire time you play guitar. Even when you see people playing heavy metal or hard rock, the right hand is actually more relaxed than you think. So the right hand stays relaxed, the left hand is rigid and firm, okay? And we will talk more about that technique, more about the left hand fingers and the right hand fingers in the next segment. So take 5 minutes, make sure you understand the parts of your guitar, make sure you understand the names of the strings, make sure you're in tune, and you're comfortable when you're sitting down with it. And I'll see you in 5 minutes. Welcome back. This is segment 2. So you've just got done tuning and stringing your guitar and getting situated and getting it comfortable. Now we have to talk about this drawing that I have here. Now this drawing is a keyboard. It may be confusing to you now, but you should get used to this keyboard because this is how all music theory and music people understand the language. And what you're going to notice about this drawing is that some of these shapes are black and some of these shapes are white. These are what we call the white keys and the black keys. There are 5 black keys, and you can see that not every white key had a black key. So, on the guitar, we're going to use this as our theoretical understanding. And now I'm going to write in the notes so that you can see, no pun intended, exactly what's going on this keyboard. Now, the black notes we call sharps. We also call them flats. It just depends on the direction you're going. So if I had to describe that, describe it like this. So, on this drawing here, you're going to see from left to right, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, and it goes over and over and over again. The black note, the very first one on the far left-hand side, is C sharp, but it's also D flat. And so the guitar is made up of the exact same alphabet. So C has a sharp, just like D. D also has a sharp. But E is where it gets fancy. E has no sharp, but F does, G does, A does, and once again, B does not have a sharp. So that's how we have to go about learning the musical alphabet on the guitar, just like on the piano. So the hard part for us is to transition from this piano understanding to guitar understanding. All right, so now when we have our guitar in front of us, the question we have is, what are the notes? How do we know what these are? So when we're just looking at the strings, they look nothing like a keyboard. We have no way of knowing where the sharp is and where the flat is. It's very confusing for guitarists. So you have to work your way step by step by step until you get familiar with the entire fretboard on all 6 strings, and then it won't be so scary. Now, some of your guitars will have these dots, and those are placeholders. You can use those to identify where you are. But really the key is, no pun intended, to figure out which notes have sharps and which don't. Which notes have flats and which don't. Now you only have to remember that B and E don't have sharps. So if you need to write that down, write that down. B and E don't have sharps. And just because of that logic, we know that C and F must not have flats, okay? So if you need to, draw out the piano so that when you practice, remember, you're only doing this because you're advanced guitarists. You might be asking yourself, why do I need to do the piano? Why do I need to do this? Because you need to understand, as you get better at music, why the notes are the way they are, what their names are, and so that when we talk about them, we use the right language. When we say B sharp, we might mean C. And when we say C flat, we might mean B. So be careful, all right? Write down the notes, make sure you understand which ones have sharps, which ones don't. So now we're going to go through each one in the next segment. So we're going to go through each string on your guitar and talk about the notes going all the way up, what we call the chromatic scale, and that's the colorful scale. We're going to play every single note from E to shining E. And this is not meant as torture, and it's not meant for, I don't know, it's not arbitrary. It's a good practice for your finger position. It's going to be a good practice for you getting used to which notes have sharps and which don't. And it's just generally going to be good for you to figure out how to move up and down the fretboard, because at the end of the day, you probably want to be able to solo and play amazing licks and amazing riffs. But to be able to do that, it's important for you to actually know what you're playing. Otherwise, it probably will sound like a lot of nonsense. So we're going to take our time in the next segment, but for the next 5 minutes, I want you to write down those piano notes. I want you to look up a piano on Google Images if you need to, and just familiarize yourself with the concept of A through G and which ones have sharps. Okay, so take 5 minutes, study that piano, understand where the notes are, which ones have sharps, which ones don't. Okay, and I'll see you in 5. All right, welcome back. So this is advanced guitar, and we are going into each string. We're going to do all of the notes on the E string and the A string. So starting on the top, you're going to use your right hand thumb, to strike the top string. Okay, you're striking that E string with the thumb. And we're going to climb our way from the bottom to the top here. So from all the way to the left to the right on the E string. And I'm going to count off every single note name. You don't need to memorize this. Most people don't for a long time. Just get familiar and understand when I'm saying sharp and when I'm not. So the two notes that have a sharp, the two notes that do not have a sharp are B and E. So pay close attention and let's just do it together if you can, all right? So first we're going to strike the top string. That's E. Now if you have your keyboard in front of you, you'll be able to see that there is no sharp there. So when we put our left hand on the guitar with that thumb position in the middle of the neck, reaching underneath, around, and applying firm pressure straight down with the index, in that first fret, we're playing F. Now we're going to add our middle finger. That's F sharp. Ring finger, that's G, and pinky is G sharp. So this is a very stretched out position. It's really good hand yoga, finger yoga. And make sure that you're not compromising your form. So this should be the front, and this is the back with the thumb. Okay? Now, from this position, we're going to slide. So we just played G sharp, and we're going to slide with our index and thumb all the way up here. This is the 5th fret. Okay, that's A, middle finger, A sharp, ring finger, B, pinky, C, because B has no sharp. So we go straight to the C. Slide up, that's C sharp, middle finger plays D, ring finger plays D sharp, pinky plays E. Now you might be wondering, how do I know how to slide and how do I know when? Well, you only have 4 frets to play with 4 fingers, right? You can't really play 5 frets with 4 fingers. Later on you might learn this, but for now, let's just reserve 1 fret for 1 finger. So we climb, and I slide every time I'm out of space. So I slide up. All right, and that's that. Now if I go down, I'm going to count the flats. Be careful. This is where having that drawing of the keyboards is really going to help you. All right. E, flat. D, flat. Slide down. C. There is no C flat, just like there's no B sharp, so this one's B. B flat here. Then A. Slide down. That's A flat. Now we have G, G flat, F, and E again. So we're going to repeat this process a little bit faster on the A string now that we have the basics down. So we go down to the next string. This is A. Index is going to go down. That's A sharp, B, C, C sharp, slide up, D, sharp, E, F, slide, F sharp, G, G sharp, and A again. And going backwards, we're going to count our flats. So A, flat, G, flat, F, F, E flat, D, D flat, C, no C flat, so that's B, B flat, and A again. Now, if this is too fast for you, that's totally normal, but this is advanced guitar, so you should be pushing yourself a little bit. If it's too slow in the beginning, that's all right. But make sure you know what the notes are. Go carefully and understand which ones are sharp, which ones aren't. When you feel confident, that's when you can start going really fast, up and down. And this is huge because later on, when you're in a band or when you're playing with other people, or when you're just playing for yourself, it's good to be able to say, that right there is, I don't know, a B note. And the more you do this, the more comfortable you'll be, and the more you will be able to solo, the more you'll be able to listen and communicate with other musicians, and be able to articulate yourself on the guitar clearly, not randomly. And that's really the point. Okay, so take 5 minutes, practice on the top 2 strings, the E and the A string. Go all the way up and all the way back, and count what the notes are using that drawing of the keyboard if you need to. All right. Okay, welcome back. So this is advanced guitar and we're moving on to the D and the G strings respectively. So the D string is the third string down from the top. If you take a look at the fretboard here, it's the third one down from the top. That's your D string. The fourth string down is the G string. Now, we use the thumb on the top two strings, but now I want to focus on using the pick. So again, good pick technique is to have your index on one side and your thumb on the opposite side, and the tip of the pick is a little bit beyond your index fingernail, okay? And you're going to position your right hand right over the bridge or the saddle for the strings so that when you strum or pluck, you're right over the sound hole, maybe a little bit behind it, and that sounds good. So we're going to focus on that D string, so get that pick right over the D string. If you don't have a pick, totally fine to continue using your thumb. But we're going to speed through this since we're all smart, we're in advanced guitar, and we're just going to get all of our notes down so that we know where to go in the future when we call them out. So, here we go. Open D. Index finger on the first fret gives us D sharp. Middle finger gives us E. Ring finger gives us, because there's no E sharp, F. Then we put our pinky down for F sharp. Now this is as many fingers as we have frets, so we're going to slide up with our index and play F sharp. Excuse me, D sharp, E, F sharp, slide up and play G. Middle finger plays G sharp. Ring finger plays A. Pinky plays A sharp. We're out of fingers, so we got to slide. For B, then C, C sharp, and D. So notice we're playing all of the notes, D to shining D, A to shining A, E to shining E, always going from 0 to 12, because there are 12 tones total. All the white notes and all the black notes combined make up 12 tones. Okay, so we just did D all the way up. We're going to do D all the way down using flats. So D up here on the 12th fret with our pinky. All of our fingers are loaded, locked and loaded, ready to go. Here's D. I'm going to take my pinky off, and that's going to give me D flat. Take my ring finger off, and that's going to give me C. Take my middle finger off, and I got B. Now I'm going to slide into the next position from B to B flat, and from B flat to A, from A to A flat, from A flat to G. Out of fingers again, so we're going to slide to G flat. Pinky off gives us F. Ring finger off gives us E. E, middle finger off gives us E flat. And index finger off gives us D again. We're going to do the same thing with the G string, okay? So here we go. Next string down. This is the fourth from the top. This is the G string. Open gives us G. First gives us G sharp. Middle gives us A. Ring finger gives us B, and pinky gives us C. Slide up to get C sharp. Middle finger gives us D. Ring finger gives us D sharp. Pinky gives us E. Slide up, that's F. Middle finger gives us F sharp. Ring, G, and pinky, G sharp, right? Wrong! Something happened. Bad counting. I'm going to go quickly. G, sharp, A, sharp, B, C, sharp, D, sharp, E, F, sharp, G. There we go, that sounds right. So if you screw up, just like I did, and something happens where you called a note the wrong thing, you'll know because when you get to the 12th fret, it should be the same as the open string. So that should be G. And because I said G sharp, I knew something was wrong. I went back to the start and I cleared it up. And that's the kind of speed you want when you're just practicing. If you're just practicing with your pick or practicing for your left hand, making everything as smooth as possible. Again, this is your first class, first session overall in advanced guitar. So you want to be getting the left hand and right hand a good workout, all right? So here we go. That's 5 minutes for you to practice doing your D and G strings. Welcome back. We are leapfrogging off of the skills from last session. So we're going to go from the D and G strings to the B and E strings, the final two strings on the guitar. And this time I want to focus on the index finger and the middle finger of the right hand and do what we call piccato. And that means you're going to walk your fingers one by one on top of the string, as if you're trying to balance on a log or something. Just like that. Now how do you accomplish that? Well, first you plant your thumb on top on this E string, but you're not really playing it, you're just anchoring. Now you're going to reach with your fingers over the other strings until you get both your middle and index finger on top of the B string. That looks like that. Okay? So they're just resting on top of the string, and one by one you're going to pull toward you until it produces the note, until it strikes the string and releases it in one motion. Now some people prefer to claw the string from the bottom. This is your choice. But the correct style is to have your thumb anchored and to strike the note by pressing. So that you're effectively walking on top of the string. Alright, so that's how we're going to do the last two strings with piccato style, index and middle finger, just in case one day you want to learn flamenco. So we're going to play the B string open. Index comes down on the first fret of the B string. Again, make sure your thumb is using the knuckle and it's in the middle of the neck. If it's too low or too high, it's going to be uncomfortable for your arm and you're not going to get the right pressure on your fingertip. So B, then first fret C, second fret C sharp, ring finger D, pinky D sharp. Now, as you do this, it's going to be easy and kind of mindless where you forget to alternate your index and middle fingers. Don't forget, focus on this. So count with the left hand and be careful here, but also try to remember to alternate your fingers in the right hand. So again, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp. And now slide up to the 5th fret position. That's E. Then F, F sharp, G, slide again, G sharp, A sharp, and B. Not so bad, but I understand it could be really tricky when you're trying to remember to alternate the right hand fingers while also knowing which notes come next on the left hand and producing good sound. I know it can be a lot in the beginning, don't worry. You have 5 minutes after each segment to practice and give yourself the time and opportunity to get it right. Going backwards, carefully and slowly, using piccato. We're going to go B, flat. Okay, got that? Next, A, flat. Got a slide here for G, flat. F, E, flat. D, flat, C, and B. You're going to do the same thing with the E string, okay? So just get a habit of the right hand alternating with the left hand, carefully planting and understanding which note comes next. So E, the last string on the guitar. E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and E. And going backwards, E, E flat, D, D flat, C, B, B flat, A flat, A flat to G, G flat, and F, and E. Now, I botched this when I go down. For some reason, going on the flats is a little more tricky than going on the sharps. So I might go back and do it again just to make sure that it's nice and smooth. E, E flat, D, D flat, C, B, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, and E. Now if I fail to alternate, I'll just go back over and over until I get it right and smooth, and I feel confident about doing it quickly. Okay, take 5 minutes and practice your B and E strings. Welcome back. So again, this is advanced guitar, and we need to get our feet under us before we can really take off into space and understand this whole thing and start playing really, really cool stuff. Now, the last piece of the puzzle for really getting the fundament down is understanding the notes on the guitar and being able to identify where the sharps and flats are, okay? This is critical. So what we just did as a warm-up on day one was do all the chromatic scales, so every single note, all 12 tones, up and back, using sharps on the way up and flats on the way back. Okay. Now we need to talk about the natural note scales. So natural note scales are the scales starting on any random alphabet letter. So everything except what comes after G, right? So A through G, we can start on any of them, and we only want to play the white keys. So that means if I started on E, I would play E to shining E with no sharps and no flats. So it'd be E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. If I started on G, same exact idea, same logic. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's it, okay? So the first one we can do is E. And again, this is the natural note scale, which means that we are not touching any sharp or any flat. And this is really our first chance to move vertically on the guitar. So we just went on the chromatic scale, left and right. We just went horizontally. But now to go vertically makes a big difference. And so we should start doing that now with the natural note scale. So we start with E. The next non-sharp, non-flat note would be F, according to the keyboard that we drew earlier. So that's on the first fret. And now we got to use our noggins. So the next note we need is not F sharp, but G, because we don't want a sharp and we don't want a flat. We just want all the white notes. So the next one's G. And because we just did this, we know where the G is on the E string. It's right here. But you can't just say that that's G. That's not true. That's F sharp. It's a different note entirely. So this one, on the third fret of the E string, that's the G note. So again, E, F, and G. 0, 1, and 3. So that gives me E, F, G. The next alphabet letter to come in the musical library, the musical language, is A. So now I could slide up here and continue on the E string, but I said I wanted to go vertically, and I do. So let's go vertically. We know the next string name is A. Perfect. So we just go E, F, G, and the next string is A, so we play it open. Nice. Now the next alphabet letter we need is a non-sharp, non-flat from A to B. So we know that if we played on the first fret, it would be A sharp. We don't want that. That's lava. So we want the B note. That comes next on the middle finger, second fret. So again, E, F, G, A, then B. Now B has no sharp, and we want C. So it's right next door, so we use our ring finger to play C. The next note we need is not C sharp, but D, and we know that the next open string is D. So great, we play that open. There we go, there's our D. And the next one we need is E. Remember, that first fret is D sharp, so we skip over that and play on the second fret. That gives us E. Okay, so here we go. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. We just played E to shining E using vertical movement. If we want to go all the way, we can do that. I'll just do it quickly, and then you can spend 5 minutes doing all 6 strings, E to shining E twice. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E again. Okay? Now the real challenge, right, is going backwards. So going backwards is a bit of a tough one. Take your time, go from the top, so from here, starting on that G if you want, or you can start on the E. and just work your way back until you get back to the starting E, okay? And get comfortable going vertically, so from top to bottom, using the natural note scale of E, just to begin. All right, see you in 5 minutes. Good luck.